Testing. There we go. It's a little bit cloudy today, but still a great day for softball at the Namoli Family Stadium. I'm Taylor Storworthy alongside Bruce Wozniak, and you are watching Game 1 of a doubleheader at softball here at the University of Tampa on Tampa Spartans TV on the Sunshine State Conference Network. The 13-8 Spartans take on the Southwest Minnesota State Mustangs. So, Bruce, yesterday, or a few days ago, the Spartans had a great showing, being able to take a 2-game series sweep as they were able to face off against Minnesota Duluth. Both games are only 1-1-0, but a 1-0 win is better than no win.
Yeah, it's interesting because they snapped a 4-game losing streak, and there they were having trouble coming out on the wrong side of one-run decisions, and all of a sudden, back-to-back, they win games by none other than a one-run decision. At that point, when you're trying to break a losing streak, you'll take it if you win by 1 or if you win by 11. And so the Spartans happy to be back in the win column and now riding a modest, what you might as well call, 2-game win streak as we start this game here against Southwest Minnesota State. And as you've seen, the starting pitcher in Game 1 for UT is Mariah Galhouse. And it bears repeating what a tremendous season she's been having. I feel like we say it so often on these broadcasts, but Galhouse has appeared in 13 games this season. And despite the 5-5 one-loss record, as you see the first batted ball of the game, and that's going to be the first out over at first base, it's very impressive as you look down her stat line. 63 innings pitched, a 1.33 ERA, and probably most impressively, 38 strikeouts against just 7 walks. So really solid 2022 season for her. And here she is starting her 9th game of the season against the Mustangs.
A lot of control and the ability to keep runners from getting on base. That's been something we've seen all season from Galhouse. And we saw in the first play right there, E.J. Jansen just barely missed the ball, but right behind her, Alexa Russo picks it up and runs to first base to record the first out. Russo this time making a great grab and a great throw to retire the second out. So Russo already having a strong game in the infield, the second base player for the Spartans.
Yeah, the leadoff hitter for the Mustangs that you saw was Abby Russell, and then out number 2 was just registered by Emily Tater, and so that's going to bring up the first base player, Bailey Johnson.
And Johnson's going to be looking for strike 1, and getting back to Mariah Galhouse, who had the game-winning RBI in Game 1 on Tuesday, I have to agree that it's one of those times where the record just lies, because you see like a 5-5, 5-6 record, and you think, oh, maybe the pitcher has been struggling. No, a sub-2 ERA means whatever you are doing, it's definitely not your fault from the circle. So it's definitely the case that she needs a little more run support, and in the 9-inning thriller that we had, it was Galhouse who actually had to say, listen, I have to do it myself, and hit home the winning sac fly RBI. The 1-2, and that will be grounded to Kern Minor. And to throw to first will retire the side. 1, 2, 3, and the Spartans will be ready to go in the bottom of the first.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela burns it.
An incredible finish by Hall. The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org/opportunity.
Combination of college sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us and for college sports.
So, the bottom of the first, after a quick inning from Galhouse, Galhouse now has the duty of leading off for the Spartans. And an interesting thing, if you're a Southwest Minnesota State fan tuning in to the Tampa Spartans for the first time this season, you'll normally see a designated player come in for the pitcher when it comes to hitting. but not for the Spartans because Galehouse is one of the stronger hitters for the Spartans in this season and has had a pretty good season from the plate. A .338 average, a .361 on-base percentage, and .426 slugging is the slash line, alongside a solitary home run and 9 RBIs.
And she's behind in the count early here, 0-1. And we'll give you the stats on the Mustangs starting pitcher, Shelby Blumendahl. And this season, Blumendahl is a junior, and she's from Pipestone, Minnesota. As you see, the 0-2 on the way.
The 0-2 will be fouled away by Galehouse.
Blumendahl, a 4.23 earned run average. Her one-loss record is 5-3. She's pitched in 43 innings and gets the start in Game 1 here this afternoon against the Spartans.
The 0-2 to Galehouse, going to be grounded to short. Galehouse has the legs to beat the throw. It was a good job by Russell to make sure it didn't get past her, but the throw to the first base player was not in time, and that is going to be a single for the Spartans. And it'll bring up Stephanie Ballmer.
Finishing up on Blumendahl, she's walked 14 batters and has struck out 24.
So Ballmer's going to lay the bunt down, and that will get Ballmer out, but Galehouse to second. That's a tactic we normally see from the Spartans. They like to pop a sacrifice bunt down to bring a runner into scoring position. But with that walk rate, that'll be interesting to see if the Spartans can utilize some good eyes and try to get some runners on base with walks. It's still a good ratio, but a little bit weaker than Galehouse's ratio. Fantone is now up with 1 away. This is not a very favorable matchup in terms of hitting for a lot of the Spartans lineup, but Blumendahl pitching righty here. It will help out. Fantone grounds to first and gets into the outfield. Galehouse coming home, not going to be fielded cleanly, so it'll give extra bases for Fantone. It's an RBI double, and the Spartans, who generally aren't very prolific with runners in scoring position, are able to strike first and right away in the bottom of the first inning. They'll lead 1-0 with 1 out and a runner on second.
Yeah, an unfortunate start there for the right fielder. She just bobbled that one, which for all intents and purposes should have limited Galehouse to stopping at third base, but that mishandle allowed the run to come around, and then in the process allows the Spartans to end up with another runner at second base in the person of Lauren Fantone. And so now here's Corinne Miner with her team in the lead and another runner still in scoring position.
That was the best case scenario there for Fantone, who will get her 3rd RBI of the season on that play. And right now, we see Corinne Miner being able to get ahead in the count, 2-0. That one's going to be taken outside for ball 3.
Our home plate umpire this afternoon for Game 1 is Ralph Rodriguez, with James Wadsworth working the infield.
And that's going to be taken for strike 1. Miner almost was able to get on with a walk here. Miner hasn't had the best season from the circle so far, but in the batter's box, Miner just as prolific as ever. With a chance to try to put up the Spartans by 2, will foul away 3-2.
You know, you and I talk a lot on these broadcasts about how certain pitches look to us from up here and our position relative to home plate, etc. And mentioning the home plate umpire's name, I want to credit all of these athletes that come through the stadium. They're all so disciplined. They're all so well coached. It's exceptionally rare to see any of them argue a call with the home plate umpire or the other umpire for that matter. They usually leave it up to their coach, and even the coaches show tremendous restraint. And it's really a nice show of sportsmanship and respect that there's very, very little questioning with the officials of the umpires that are on the field.
And I agree. There have been also calls that we say, wow, that was really tough. And sometimes we're even surprised that the coaches don't even get up and try to question it. That call in the most recent play, however, definitely wasn't a question. It was a ground ball that Russell couldn't field cleanly enough. So Russell decides just to hold it instead of trying to get Miner out at first. So Miner advances on what will most likely be an error? I'd call that an error as it wasn't handled cleanly enough. So yes, was able to reach on an error, but it was right to short, so it didn't allow Fantone to get to third. That one's going to be taken low for ball 1.
We did see there a minute ago a ball that got away from the catcher Molly Bull, and I was interested to see the Spartans runners hold and not try to advance.
The reason there, I believe, was it was a foul ball in that play, and there is the 1-2. The tag was, I believe, applied on Fantone, and an easy throw to first retires the side. So, the Mustangs are able to get out of a jam, but still concede a run for the Spartans. They'll lead 1-0 entering the second inning.
I
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
We might be able to get.
What do you get when you take your favorite food and stuff it inside a pocket of homemade dough? Cooked perfectly until golden brown. It's a mouth-watering empanada from Mr. Empanada.
Top of the second, ready to get going. Galehouse back in the circle. Galehouse had a very strong start, a 9-pitch inning, no strikeouts, so wasn't immaculate. But a great start nonetheless. And now it is going to be Jillian Noel leading off for the Mustangs. It's going to be grounded to Corinne Miner. Makes a throw to first. So great job to retire the first batter.
I'll tell you, the Spartans defensively are making such quick work of the Mustangs, not even allowing us enough time to talk about each hitter and what her stat line is. We'll do more of that as the game goes along, but certainly head coach Leslie Canner and starting pitcher Mariah Galehouse have to be thrilled with the way this game has started in terms of putting down 4 consecutive Mustangs hitters, as we're at the number 5 hitter now.
So it's Lilia Kebos. Leia, unfortunately, was partially responsible for that run in the first inning, not being able to field the ball in right field cleanly, and will definitely hope to get a little bit of revenge and make up for it with a successful bat right here. However, that'll be fouled away for strike 2. And yeah, the pace of play from the Spartans and the quick work from the field, it's felt a lot more like this Spartans team if they were in Formula 1, which has resumed testing in Bahrain this weekend and this week. They're setting up some quick purple sectors. Strike 3 looking on the devious changeup. Oh, more of a circle change than a changeup, but the off-speed absolutely fooling Leia here. Getting a first strikeout for Galehouse, and now there's 2 away, and it will bring up Molly Bull, the sophomore out of Omaha, Nebraska. Taken for strike 1.
Molly Bull, as I mentioned when the Spartans were batting, is the Mustangs' starting catcher today, as you see the 0-1 on the way to her.
That one taken to the dirt for ball 1.
And Bull is hitting .233 so far this season.
That .233 might not get better here, although that time it's going to be fouled away, so no chance at a play. Good discipline from the Spartans not to field it, because you sometimes instinctively want to try to make a play, but that would have been a nice infield single if they'd fielded it before it went foul. So now, Galehouse in the circle looking to close out another quick second inning, 1-2-3 with a 1-2 count, 2 away.
Bull has played in 12 of their 17 games, started 11 of them. So today make it her 12th start of the season. As there's 2s all over the board now. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
So here's the 2-2. Good job to hold back from Bull, and now it'll be a full count.
And we're going to be keeping an eye on the weather for you during this game. Right now, the temperature is 82 degrees, and you may be able to tell, well, it's actually just dropped to 81. The lights are on here in the stadium already because there is a severe thunderstorm watch for this area that's on until 9 p.m. And we're going to have more about that as our broadcast goes along as it relates to the next 48 hours.
And that one is going to be fouled away by Bull. And indeed, the next 48 hours, we have a little bit of a change in the schedule. The games, we'll be getting to a little bit later with that. But hopefully the weather stays dry enough so we can complete some more action here. For now, it looks fine. And here's the payoff pitch, 3-2. And that'll be ball 4. The first base runner will get aboard now for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Molly Bull knew that was ball 4 and was off to the races, excited to reach base and give them their first base runner of the game, already trailing 1-0, and knowing that there's quite an imposing pitcher in the circle for their opponent, the Tampa Spartans, this afternoon.
So now, Paisha Wolf will step up here. That potentially could have been a shot in the arm for the Mustangs, as they will be looking to capitalize with 2 outs. Swing and a miss, so down 0-2 already. Not the best start for Paisha Wolf, who is a sophomore out of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Wolf hitting .311 so far this season.
The 0-2, that was very inside, and almost led to another base runner if that had collided. So now 1-2 here. Galehouse looking to now be able to retire the batter. Bit disappointing in the previous at-bat. There's a deep drive to left, but not deep enough. Fantone makes a good play, and the side is retired. 1 runner advances thanks to a walk. And so far, the Mustangs have been quiet. The Spartans have been loud, and hope to stay loud at the bottom of the second. And right now, it is still nice weather, but we'll keep you updated as that continues. We'll be right back.
What do you get when you take your favorite food and stuff it inside a pocket of homemade dough? Cooked perfectly until golden brown. It's a mouth-watering empanada from Mr. Empanada. No one makes a better empanada. Take Ted Webb's word for it.
Almost as good as my mom used to make.
Check out our website for a location near you, MrEmpanada.com.
It's not about any one thing. It's about how everything comes together, how it all connects. People, ideas, resources, community, everything. Quality of life services. That's what we do. Sodexo.
So the bottom of the second is ready to get underway. Lexi Chevalier is going to lead off for the Spartans here. Chevalier, notably the starting catcher for the Spartans, and has played so long in almost every single game. Been a reliable bat and a reliable glove. Takes strike 1 here, but we'll be hoping to start the Spartans off well here.
Hitting .259 this season, and you're right, with seeing her so regularly, you almost want to call her a veteran, even though technically she's listed as a sophomore.
That's going to be grounded to second. That's a great play, but unfortunately for Waldo, not able to get up in time and make the throw. So McKenna Waldo is able to lay all out to make the snag and prevent it from going to the outfield. But the outcome is the same as if it would have rolled into the outfield. A strong infield single. So now Jansen up here will lay down a sacrifice to the runner on first. Jansen can't run out the throw, but the sacrifice will work like a charm. So now we are going to have Mackenzie Allen up here.
Mackenzie and Allen, you and I have noticed over the last few games wearing that huge brace on her right leg. We've seen her come in some pinch running situations, ironically, and here she is batting in the number 8 position in this first game of the doubleheader. Clearly, whatever the issue is with her leg or her knee, not impactful enough to keep her out of the starting lineup. And an opportunity to bat here with a runner on second base and only one out. Her team already up 1-0.
So we'll have to see if Allen can continue to generate some offense and potentially bring that second run home. Here's the 1-1 with one out. Allen's just going to lay another sacrifice down and beats out the throw. So instead of a sacrifice, bunts for the hit and gets the hit.
It's interesting that pitcher didn't even think to go to first, and yet I just got finished talking about the fact that she's got a brace on her knee. Now, mind you, credit Mackenzie Allen for the speed and for the placement of that bunt, but at the same time, you would think that the automatic reaction would be she's probably not going to be that fast because she's got that bulky brace. Let's try to get her out. And instead, the decision was, let's just hold everybody where they are, and now all of a sudden, runners on the corners.
A steal attempt at second, and Allen will be tagged out. That's a great play there by Molly Bull to get the throw in time. And I think just a little late on the jump there for Allen. Not able to steal second. That brings up 2 outs right here.
I'm a little surprised at the call, actually, unless there was the thought that you're going to catch the infielder sleeping.
But they aren't. And I've noticed that the Mustangs are a little more conservative in the infield, not trying too many risky throws, which is good, because if you try a risky throw, that you might be throwing it too off balance and cause an error. So instead, they want to just make sure that they don't have any serious throwing errors. That was definitely the reason that we saw Blumendahl not try anything on the previous bunting play.
Well, you know, I don't have the medical information on whatever the issue is with Allen's right leg, but that's why I'm surprised that you would send her.
Said, that time it's going to be dropped by Blumendahl, and so that error will bring the run home. Chevalier knew it was 2 outs, so might as well try to run it out. She did, and the run scores. And now the Spartans are up 2-0, and that's just the type of play that you're just like, oh, man.
Well, the thing is, we saw during that 4-game losing streak that the Spartans just couldn't get any lucky bounces. You couldn't get an error by the other team to go in your favor. And everything, the deck just seemed to be stacked against them. And look, there's another example right there where everything just seems to be bouncing UT's way so far very early on here.
Yeah, I mean, and quite literally, it bounced right off of Waldo and allowed Perkins to get to second safely. And we didn't even have time to introduce Galehouse for her at bat because it was the first pitch that allowed her to get Perkins to second. That one's going to be taken for strike one. And yeah, just fielding errors galore from the Mustangs. 3 errors so far. And I know that's definitely going to be painful for Bailey Booman, the head coach. That one's fouled away for strike 2.
Well, and there's 2 things going on here in opposite directions. Number one, for the Spartans, you have to be thrilled that it's the bottom of the second, you're still batting, you've already got a 2-0 lead, and you've got a runner in scoring position, never mind one at first. But on the flip side, if you're Southwest Minnesota State, you say, my gosh, this is the first game of a doubleheader here on the road, and this is already what's happening to us. This could make for a long afternoon. And so, yeah, getting back to their coach, she's going to have to get these girls to hit the reset button really fast and get themselves back in this game and compete for practically 2 full games still left here this afternoon.
So that one tipped away just enough to stay alive in the at-bat. So still 1-2 here to Balmer. And yeah, it's never a great start when you're entering a doubleheader and already making fielding errors.
Yeah, there's a lot of ball left to be played still here this afternoon.
That one's going to be grounded to short, and will make the simple tag to end the inning. But it doesn't stop the Spartans from scoring earlier. They'll now take a 2-0 lead. As there have been quite a few errors, the Mustangs will be hoping to make up for it, going back up to bat to the top of the third. We'll be right back in the Sunshine State Conference Network.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's will you?
You know, some of these bobbles.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, we're through 2 innings complete, and the Spartans already with a 2-0 lead, helped by, unfortunately, if you're watching from a Southwest Minnesota State perspective, 3 Mustangs errors already, so they're going to try to climb back in this game here in the top of the 3rd, starting with their number 8 hitter, which is McKenna Waldo.
And Waldo had an unlucky error in the previous inning where a ball just rolled and bounced very awkwardly off of her. But that's the saying, when you make an error, it's always how you can recover for it. And Waldo will be hoping here to become the first hitter to get on base for the Mustangs. The previous runner to get on base for the Mustangs advanced on a strong walk that was fought back after an 0-2 count, which we also have right here. So Gale House hoping to retire the first Mustang hitter. That's going to be grounded. Gets past Fulmer, so it is the first hit for the Mustangs. And I know Spartan fans won't be super happy for me speaking that hit into reality there, but that'll open up the inning very well for the Mustangs. And now it brings back the top of the order on deck, because first you have Paige Schwalik. Runner on first, a good opportunity to try to generate something here for the Mustangs. Galehouse from the circle fires the 0-0. They'll drop the sacrifice bunt. Chevalier's throw to first is in time. Very well played there to make sure to get it, because it was a good job there by Schwalik to try to run it out.
Yeah, and how well. And it was a tremendous job by her to lay down that bunt. It was textbook, but an equally good job by Lexi Chevalier with the throw down to first. The way that bunt fell, it almost seemed that there was going to be no way that you could possibly throw the runner out. So as well placed as it was, credit to Lexi Chevalier for being right on target and on time to get the runner at first.
And that was a good reach as well by Emily Jansen, who is always able to use her height to make those grabs that smaller players might not be able to make. So with that, there's 1 out away, and already Galehouse able to get a good start in this at-bat, facing Russell again in the top of the order. Runner on second, 1 out. That's going to be fouled away, and it'll be an 0-2 count right here.
Southwest Minnesota State, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, coming into today's game with an 8-9 1-loss record.
Strike 3. It's going to be another strikeout for Galehouse, second of the day. Got some good speed on that one to force the whiff. And now 2 outs, still the runner in scoring position, but a little bit of a sigh of relief in the circle. Emily Tater now going to be tasked with the job of bringing her home. Gets to the outfield, all the way to Keister. Keister's throw will not be in time, so the Mustangs will get one back.
And we saw a play the other day where Lily Keister made that throw from center field and got the out at home plate, so she's kind of developing this reputation of where when a ball is hit to her, you don't automatically put that run up on the board for the other team. You watch and see, because Lily Keister is going to give you a great opportunity to get a runner at home plate, just not in that case of what we just saw there.
And that throw definitely wasn't even going to make it, not even if you had the greatest arm in the world, because it was a slower hit ball that took a while to field. But still, that throw was only a second or two late, where if it was just a little bit earlier, it could have potentially gotten the runner out. So good job by Keister to keep that slight possibility alive. But the Mustangs are now able to keep the inning alive here and reduce that deficit. So strong start for both sides here. The 1-0 now, Johnson. That's going to be fouled away.
Bailey Johnson 0 for 1 in this game. She grounded out to third back in the first inning in what was a 1-2-3 inning then, and a different looking inning here in the top of the third for Southwest Minnesota State. As you see, the throw down to second, and they do get the runner, and that'll end the inning.
So 2 stolen base attempts so far, and neither has worked. Good play from both catchers. Chevalier with another good throw to end the inning. 1 runner advances and scores for the Mustangs, but the Spartans still lead entering the bottom of the third. We'll be right back.
college sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
Thank you.
So bottom of the third underway, leading off is Lauren Fantone. Firing from the circle for the 0-0. That's going to be a line drive into the outfield. And that'll be a base hit for the Spartans to lead off. Good start there and a good hit by Fantone.
Yeah, real good hit. And I think for Southwest Minnesota State, you're almost willing to concede those because it was such a well-hit ball, meaning that at least it's not another case of a Spartan batter reaching base by error. And obviously a shot in the arm for the Spartans because it brings up their cleanup hitter, Corinne Miner.
So Miner's going to lay down the bunt, making the throw to second. But no, wasn't on the bag and misses the tag. The Mustangs, I think, thought they made the tag in the field, but regardless, the outcome is that now there's two, actually.
Yeah, I think it was a case of the infielder not knowing where she was in relation to the second base bag, and so making the catch and thinking that she was in position when in fact she was off, and so Fantone is safe. And boy, this really plays into the Spartans' hands because you're right in the heart of the order here, the 3, 4, 5 hitters, and already 2 on base. The umpires are coming together to talk, and I wonder if head coach Bailey Bauman thinks that maybe the call was incorrect at second base. From where I stand up here, it was the correct call, and that's trying to be fair and not be a homer. And you just see there they signal that the call does stand. I'm a little surprised that head coach Bailey Bauman did that, although it could also be kind of a stall tactic just to give her team just an extra second to catch their breath and try to stay in control before this thing unravels too much.
And I'll say, I think what she wanted to challenge was that the tag was made, although I think it was very clear that she wasn't perfectly on the bag, where I believe it was Waldo who had made the catch on that play and just didn't have the foot on the bag, and as you mentioned, maybe thought that she did, and that's just an unfortunate, I'd say, lapse right there, and almost maybe a lapse of communication because we saw both players right next to each other almost fighting for the ball in that instance.
Yeah.
Russo drops a bunt to put both runners in scoring position, and even though she's beaten to first, it does the job. So with 1 out now, you got runners at third and second, and you'll bring up Lexi Chevalier, who's already 1 for 1 when it comes to hitting.
The Spartans have a great opportunity here to really make a distant memory of those problems that they were having, leaving runners in scoring position, going back a couple of games now.
That one's going to be lined foul to the left.
Obviously, the other day, sweeping that doubleheader, winning both games 1-0, you're not driving in a bunch of runs, but you drove in one more than the other team that made the difference. And so now here's a chance to really build on that and increase this lead, especially since Southwest Minnesota State was able to put up a run in the top half of this inning.
That one's going to be a deep fly ball by Chevalier. It's going to get down for extra bases, and the Spartans will take a 4-1 lead. Chevalier stays at second and takes the double.
Yeah, I think Lexi was thinking 3 on that one and had to be told to hold up. I think the blood was flowing so much and feeling the excitement and the momentum that the Spartans have going here. And obviously a smart decision by head coach Leslie Cantor to hold her at second, and more than does the job because not only do you still have a runner in scoring position, but able to bring 2 more across and increase this lead with only 1 out.
So Emily Jansen now steps up. It will be the first true at-bat for Jansen because last time Jansen had to lay down the sacrifice to advance a runner and take strike 1 here.
I think that Chevalier hit to the left field wall, Taylor, is one of the furthest hit Spartan balls that you and I have seen probably this season. UT has not been doing much with the long ball here at home at least, and so nice to see them finally get one that results in Chevalier, who, as I said, turned second and wanted to go for 3, but is happy to be where she is.
And with the throw that wasn't very clean going back into the infield, she actually could have made 3, but always good to be conservative in that situation. You don't want to add an extra out for a silly reason like that. A good take there from Jansen to get the count to 1-2.
Yeah, excellent point, because if you do get thrown out at third, well, it was now all of a sudden it looks like you're being greedy and you've already driven in 2 runs, so there would really be no need to try to stretch it to 3 if it wasn't there.
So that's going to be a fly out to left, and it's a good play there by Paisha Wolf to track it down and make the grab. It almost looked like she lost track of it at first, but is able to get back, make a nice grab to prevent it from sending Chevalier home.
Yeah, and how important was that catch? Because it did look like it was destined to get away from her, and that could have really spelled disaster. So an important catch for her, especially that there's 2 outs and not just one. And think of what it could have been if it would have gotten away from her, especially since this game is now 4-1 and it's only at the bottom of the third.
So 1-0 count here to Allen, 2 outs, bottom of the third, and a 4-1 lead for the Spartans. That's just going to be taken outside for ball 2. Allen already 1 of 1 in the game. Would be hoping to get a second hit right here. That second hit would definitely send Chevalier home. The 2-0 here. That's going to be taken low and outside the zone. So it's a 3-0 count. And I know that Perkins will be happy with a potential at-bat right here. And now a notable fun thing for Allen. Allen hits both ways. A switch hitter that can hit left and right. Always a nightmare for a pitcher trying to get a platoon matchup, because Allen can just hit the opposite way. So hitting lefty against the righty arm. But now down 3-1 after that taken strike. The 3-1 here with 2 outs. That's outside, so ball 4. And Allen will get on with the first walk of the day for the Spartans.
This has been an interesting trip for Southwest Minnesota State. They've been hanging around down here in Central Florida since this past Saturday and played some spring games there that it's just kind of been a mixed bag. Wins, losses, some games that were postponed, including as recently as yesterday.
That's going to be grounded to second, and another fielding error. Now running home is Chevalier, who safe evades the tag. I'm going to be honest, I think that throw got in there in time, but was able to duck and avoid it on the slide.
I'll tell you, Lexi slid a little awkwardly on that. She looked like she was grimacing a bit, and just her form that she exhibited in sliding home, and it's good to see her walk off under her own power. We'll have to keep an eye and make sure that she's back to catch in the top half of the 4th. But regardless, the home plate umpire calls her safe, and so the lead now 5-1. Just to finish up, Southwest Minnesota State had a couple of games postponed that were supposed to be yesterday in Winter Haven. They had actually started off in Auburndale, in Winter Haven, then went to Auburndale and back to Winter Haven, and now here they are playing in Tampa. So it's been an interesting trip for them. After this, they'll go and play tomorrow across the bridge in St. Pete, a doubleheader against Eckerd, before finally heading back north to Minnesota.
The 1-1 here to Galehouse, already up for her 3rd at-bat, and that's fouled away. So, yeah, it's really a different Spartans team we're seeing today, benefited by 4 unfortunate errors from the Mustangs. But the Spartans able to actually generate quite a bit of offense. Already 7 hits in 3 innings. That's more hits than we saw throughout the entire 2-game series yesterday against Minnesota Duluth. That one's hit hard and also very much out of play, almost into her own dugout.
Well, and considering that sweep against Minnesota Duluth 2 days ago, they scored 2 runs total in the 2 games combined. Granted, they won them both by 1-0, but 2 runs over 14 innings and now 5 in 2 2/3.
And forget just the 2 2/3, as there's a force out at third that ends the inning. The Spartans are able to score 3 runs right here in the bottom of the third, so more throughout those entire 2 games and 16 innings, because one of them did go a full 9 innings. But either way, we will be right back for the top of the 4th. The Spartans now lead 5-1, and a chance for the Mustangs to try to keep fighting and staying alive.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30, touchdown! Michaela burns it. Incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org/opportunity.
It was the day after that.
So, top of the fourth underway, and I know for Spartan fans it's been a pretty entertaining game so far. A lot of offense, and unfortunately it's come off a few of the errors for the Mustangs, but still plenty of time to go. And the Mustangs offense has also done well against a really tricky pitcher in Galehouse. There's going to be a foul ball for strike one to start out. Up here is Bailey Johnson, who had grounded out in her first at bat.
And I want to talk more about this trip that Southwest Minnesota State is on.
And there's the out at first. It's just a simple ground ball from the 0-1 count. But yeah, they've been on a pretty eventful trip.
Yeah, the thing is that, a lot of times you'll hear teams talk about how much it helps to go on the road for an extended period of time and the bonding that happens and really coming together as a team. But eventually what has taken place for the Mustangs really starts to play with your psyche, because this has been a trip that's been full of stops and starts, and I'll pause for this next pitch.
That one's taken low for strike one. A good breaker right there.
Last Saturday they come out and lose, then they win. Then the next day they come out, win the first game, and then the second one's postponed. The day after that, they win, and then they lose. And then all of a sudden, you go and you have 2 games postponed yesterday. Now you're here, and you're already losing 5-1 after 3 innings. So wins, losses, postponements, falling behind early. It really has to get to a point where you say, never mind the bonding, this is really tough for us to focus. I don't care that every game you wipe the slate clean. Eventually, all this stuff has to catch up with you. And by the way, knowing that you have another game after this one and then 2 more tomorrow, it might be a case of, we're going to be happy to get back home.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. When a road trip gets as bumpy as this, it can be very disappointing, as Kerr and Mine are able to make a great play to get the second out of the inning. And yeah, I mean, just, it's crazy. You're playing away from home. You have to deal with weather. You have to deal with postponements. And you mentioned, of course, that the second game, with the forecast, that might not even be a guarantee. So it could just get even worse. But here we go.
Yeah, and in fairness to the Mustangs and their fans that are watching, I don't want to pretend that this game is out of reach, but seeing it already 5-1, and you see how quickly the Spartans are moving through the Mustangs lineup when UT is in the infield, it does kind of start to take its toll on you, and you say, okay, what do we have to do to solve Mariah Galehouse? We only have 2 hits through 4 innings, and this game is all of a sudden going to get away from them very quickly.
Although we did see, of course, before that the Spartans did concede a run lead late by allowing 3 in the bottom of the 6th one time, top of the 6th at home. So it's never over till it's over. That's one of the great things about softball. You always have to throw the next pitch. You can't really just stall, you can't really delay, and you can't just run out the clock in a game. You always have to attack a batter. Speaking of which, the Mustangs will now be attacking Spartan hitters. We'll be right back.
What do you get when you take your favorite food and stuff it inside a pocket of homemade dough? Cooked perfectly until golden brown. It's a mouth-watering empanada from Mr. Empanada. No one makes a better empanada. Take Ted Webb's word for it.
Almost as good as my mom used.
So we are back, bottom of the 4th. And so far, it's been an eventful game. And Spartans with a 4-run lead so far, but we still have some time to go.
Yeah, bottom of the 4th here, and Balmer, who's 0 for 1 on the stat line, although that was back in the 2nd inning. In the first, she had a plate appearance, and it was a sacrifice, as you see here, a bunt that she's not going to beat out, and Balmer going down awkwardly there as she crosses first base. And hopefully she's all right.
Well, we're walking off in her own power, so that's a great sign, but yeah, unfortunate to have a stumble like that.
That'll bring up Lauren Fantone, who's 2 for 2. And Fantone with a pair of singles, including an RBI, first inning and 3rd inning. She's reached base with base hits.
Strike 1 taken there. And yeah, Fantone has had a very eventful game with an RBI on 2 hits, and was also able to score once. Now here's the 0-1 with 1 out. That one's going to be a drive to center. Tracking it down is Tater, and that'll be the 2nd out. So a good start and quick start here for the Mustangs.
And again, those routine flyouts, as fundamental as they should be, small victories when you're struggling the way the Mustangs are. And now all of a sudden, very quickly, they've gotten the first two Spartan batters out. Corinne Miner standing in the way as you see a well-hit ball to left field. And she's out number 3. So the Mustangs defensively able to respond with a solid inning after having given up 3 in the bottom of the 3rd.
Yeah, very quick inning for the Mustangs and good plays in the field to make sure the Spartans can't get a single hitter. We'll be entering the top of the 5th. The Spartans still lead by 4, but still plenty of time to go. Leading off next inning for the Mustangs will be Molly Bull, who was able to have a sacrifice previous time, or actually was able to get on base recently. We'll be right back.
It's not about any one thing. It's about how everything comes together, how it all connects. People, ideas, resources, community, everything. Quality of life services. That's what we do. Sodexo.
Spring break, if there's so many.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle. And
Top of the 5th right here. Both teams had a very quick 4th inning, and I know that Maria Galehouse from the Circle would love for that to continue. Only 2 hits and 1 walk surrendered, alongside 2 strikeouts and 4 innings pitched. That one's going to be taken high for ball 1. Leading off here for the Mustangs is Molly Bull. Bull was able to advance on a walk last time around, and that one's taken for strike 1.
So Galehouse 39 pitches through 4 innings coming into this at-bat. So as we've mentioned, she's made quick work. And for those who haven't watched a whole lot of Spartans softball this year, Taylor, you and I have talked before about how the Spartans pitchers don't take very much time in between pitches. And we saw the doubleheader the other day against Minnesota Duluth, where their pitcher was moving very quickly also. And prior to that, we'd seen a number of teams come in here where it was the pitcher who looks to the dugout, then she checks her wristband, then she looks for signals from the catcher, and it was very much in contrast to what we're seeing in the Circle from the likes of Galehouse, the likes of Corinne Miner. And you see that today, Galehouse is keeping that trend up. She works very quickly from the Circle, not really a lot of time in between pitches. And when you're really on your game, that really helps because it just helps you mow down one batter after the next.
Yeah, and keeping it fast can just keep the opponent guessing and just not able to generate a lot of momentum if they're stuck. And that's been the case for the Bulldogs often. There is a simple catch made by Keister, although that was a very well-hit line drive. So good job by Keister to remain calm and just track it down.
Yeah, coming off the bat, that ball looked like it was going to be a base hit and just ended up fading enough, and combined with the angle that Keister took on it, she actually made it look a lot more routine than it might have started off looking once it left the bat.
So that one's going to be a ground ball picked up by Galehouse, and that'll be out number 2. That was just a little chopper that was a simple play, and a good attempt there by Paisha Wolf to try to run it out, but not able to do so. So with 2 outs, that'll bring up McKenna Waldo.
Waldo's their second base player. She's singled in her only at-bat so far, which is in the 3rd inning.
Waldo was also able to score after that hit, too. I know that Waldo would love to be able to do that again to try to cut that deficit down. Takes the first pitch for ball 1. Entering the at-bat, Galehouse still at 46. So good job from the Circle. That one's going to be grounded to Ballmer at short, and a simple play will retire the side. Another quick inning for the Spartans as they'll get right back to hitting. We'll be right back.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30. Touchdown. Michaela Burgess. An incredible finish by Hall.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org/opportunity.
Game or just a no-hitter?
College sports.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us and for college sports.
Bottom of the fifth, ready and underway for the Spartans. Alexa Russo, who is 0 of 1 so far after having to make a sacrifice bunt in the third, is ready to go here. That's going to be a deep fly ball. It will be tracked in right by Kibos. So a good play there by Leia to retire the first batter.
Yeah, happy for her to see her make that catch. Certainly that one that she bobbled earlier in the game didn't set well with her, and it just takes getting back into what you do routinely to put that behind you. And again, I want to underscore, this game looked like it was going to get out of hand, and the fact that the Mustangs have settled things down defensively and it's only 5-1, there's still time.
And so a very quick start to this inning here as Chevalier grounds out for her first out of the game. Both times Chevalier was able to get at bats before, got on base and scored, and actually drew in 2 RBIs earlier. So
it's interesting. You really could point to those errors as being the difference in the game, because there's only been 4 Spartan batters that have combined for the 7 hits. So it's not that all the way through the lineup there's just, fireworks galore as the Spartans are making a change in the lineup here with a pinch hitter now.
The Spartans with a little lead will be able to give Siwek a chance here. And Siwek will take strike 1. Checking a look at Siwek's season stats, Siwek's played only 2 games so far, but this will be her first at bat. Able to come in as a pinch runner, but flies out to left to end the inning. So it's another 1-2-3 inning for both sides. And entering the top of the 6th, the Spartans will still have their lead, but still a little bit of time for the Mustangs to keep fighting back. We'll be right back.
I pledged.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
So we are back for the top of the 6th. After a pretty fiery start, in fact, from both teams, even though the Mustangs are down 5-1, they still were able to score a run against one of the Spartans' stronger pitchers and generate some offense. It's been a pretty quick innings here. They've gone 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and we've already got one out to start off the top of the 6th. A simple ground ball played well from Russo to Emily Jansen, and that will retire the first batter here. So that'll be a little bit disappointing there for Schwalik, sophomore from Portage la Prairie in Manitoba. That's going to be grounded and gets past Corinne Miner, and that'll be a good single to get a runner on with one out.
Interesting. Corinne Miner looked into her dugout, kind of threw her hands up as if to say, what could I do? Some conversation with someone in the dugout that she continues to look at and talk to, and just kind of laughing that one off and saying, hey, they can't all be perfect. It's the 3rd hit of the game now for the Mustangs, but they're not laughing. They're thinking, hey, let's use this to try to build something here, and if we're going to chip away at this lead, it's got to be now because it's top of the 6th already.
So that could be the shot of adrenaline that the Mustangs need to try to get some offense. And we've seen the Spartans lose some leads later before. But I know Galehouse won't want that to happen again. And now has Tater 0-2 with one away. That one's going to be a line drive, caught by Russo, thrown back to first, but not in time for the double play. Good awareness there on first by Russell to not get herself caught out.
I thought you were going to say good awareness by Russo. That's the word that I had on the tip of my tongue. Good awareness by her to say there might be a chance here at first base. And yeah, you're right, though, for the base runner to say, I need to get back in time.
And I know Russo will be happy to make that play, and it just makes another as that one's lined right to her, because there was a play she tried to make a diving catch to save a perfect game, but sadly wasn't able to. But to retire those 2 outs of the inning, I know she's got to be very excited. A good game for her, too, in the batter's box. Well, actually, unfortunately, she is 0 for 2, but still a great game for Russo and a great game for the Spartans as they're ready to go up in the bottom of the 6th.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
So we are right back at the bottom of the 7th. The Mustangs in a huddle in the circle as Allen is warming up. The weather and clouds continue to get a little darker. A few drops forming on the window here, but it doesn't look like anything too serious yet, which is a great sign.
Yeah, in case you missed it, I mentioned at the beginning of our broadcast that despite the fact that it's currently 81 degrees, our entire area is under a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 p.m.
That one's going to be grounded back to first, so one away to start the bottom of the 6th.
And just to continue on the bad weather, so there's a scheduling change for UT. They were supposed to be playing their next set of games in the form of a doubleheader this Saturday. It was scheduled to be 2 o'clock against Florida Southern. In anticipation of predicted bad weather on Saturday, they're actually going to move Saturday's 2 o'clock doubleheader against Florida Southern to tomorrow at 5:30. So that will be changed effective immediately. And, of course, be carried here on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network as we see Alyssa Carfora now coming in as a pinch hitter.
Carfora will be hoping to have a little success here. 1 hit of the season in 7 attempts as a pinch hitter. And goes to take a good ball 1 here. So now the 1-0 count to Carfora. That one's going to be grounded to short. Played well. Carfora can't beat out the throw, so 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. And that'll bring up Galehouse once again for her 4th at-bat of the game. 2 of 3 so far with 2 singles. Was also able to score once. The 0-0 to Galehouse. That's going to be a drive to left. Question will be a good running catch there. So Paisha Wolf is able to track it down in time, and that was well out of play, so great legs there.
Great catch, great catch.
Great legs, great catch, and a quick inning. Top of the 7th will be up next after another 1-2-3 inning for the Mustangs from the circle. Now, can they try to generate some offense from the batter's box?
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
What?
Senior.
It's not about any one thing. It's about how everything comes together, how it all connects. People, ideas, resources, community, everything. Quality of life services. That's what we do. Sodexo,
So we are back top of the 7th. Galehouse hoping to complete a complete game here. Only 54 pitches entering the 7th inning. A quick start, but not going to go 1, 2, 3 here. It's going to be a nice single there by Jillian Noel. Finally gets a hit this game. So that'll be exciting for the Mustangs as we start to see a little bit of rain coming down. A few of the leaves blowing by the Spartans bullpen. And there will be a pinch runner for the Mustangs with no outs. So now coming up is going to be Leia Kibos from Las Vegas, Nevada. Notable thing about the Mustangs, you see quite a few, and wow, we're getting windy already. A few of the leaves going into the foul ball net. We'll miss the sacrifice, so strike one here.
Yeah, and we're seeing raindrops here on the window in the press box. So they're presumably going to get this game in just in time, what with it being the top of the 7th, and this is that weather that I was talking about that is really projected for all around the greater Tampa Bay area.
Galehouse gets the force at second to make the sacrifice bunt fail. It will allow Kibos to reach base, but it's disappointing because the goal was just to advance a runner.
The other thing to keep in mind is that this is a scheduled doubleheader, so we want to get through this game, but then you wonder what impact could this weather potentially have on the second game, so you'll just have to stay tuned here as we...
And we see a horn going, and that, I think, will stop play for the time being. We don't know whether the game will be called or not, but we will be back.
Yeah. The coach of Southwest Minnesota State letting her know what the situation is here, because obviously it changes from city to city and stadium to stadium as you see the players go into the dugouts, and so these lightning delays usually go for a good little bit. So it's unfortunate that we're, for the Mustangs, they're probably not too disappointed, but we're only 2 outs away from completing the game. But at the same time, safety always has to prevail. So with lightning being in the area, they're having to suspend play for the time being.
So with play suspended, we'll be back.
There is something electrifying about a vibrant community of learning. Providing new knowledge, reimagining teaching and learning, designing and reinventing the spaces where we learn, live, and work, attracting and inspiring the best students and faculty, engaging locally and globally. These are essential to creating tomorrow for UT and our world. A campaign causes us to state what we stand for. It propels us to envision the future and work diligently in new and exciting ways. It inspires supporters to believe in the long-term value of campaign priorities. It impacts the world we inhabit today.
So back here live at the Namoli Family Stadium, and just to update you, this is going to be a minimum 30-minute delay because of lightning in the area. So while the broadcast will continue in the sense that you'll continue to see video on your screen, we really have nothing to report audio-wise, so you're just going to see video during this break. And as I said, this is going to be a minimum of 30 minutes, and hopefully be able to come back and finish up at that point. But right now it's 2:58 Eastern Time, so count on 3:28 Eastern to see if we're able to resume or not at that point. And currently, the Spartans are in the lead 5-1 with 1 out in the top of the 7th. And the line score, the Spartans have 5 runs on 7 hits, no errors. The Mustangs have 1 run on 4 hits and 4 errors. UT got their runs 1 in the bottom of the first, 1 in the bottom of the second, 3 in the bottom of the third. And the Mustangs scored their only run in the top of the third. But as you see the Spartans players walking off the field for the rain delay, we will go back to a break and hopefully be back with better news in approximately 30 minutes here on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network.
So we know we said 30 minutes delay, but we're actually back just a few minutes early. The lightning's cleared up, the rain's still coming down, but we still have 2 outs to play. Top of the 7th, we're right back. The pitch right here from Galthouse taken for strike 1.
Now this is Molly Bull, the Mustangs catcher. She's 0 for 1 and also has a walk in this game. Keep in mind there is a runner on first base with 1 out.
Tries to go, but thinks better of it and stays at first. And if you're just tuning in thinking, hey, it's just about time for Game 2, I've got a little bit of bad news. We're still finishing up Game 1. And not because we're going extra innings or everything's been agonizingly slow, it's because of this inclement weather, which has made playing a little complicated. We're now ready with the 1-2 count with 1 away. 2 more outs will be needed to finish up Game 1 of the doubleheader.
Yeah, that's the good news, that the game has restarted. The bad news is this is some weather that was forecast. As you see the runner going, but that's a foul ball, so it's incidental. But I had mentioned before that there was a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 p.m., and it was lightning in the area that caused us to have the delay that we had, and fortunate to have started, as Taylor mentioned, a few minutes early here, trying to at least finish up this first game of the doubleheader.
So here's the 1-2 again, taken high for ball 2.
The Spartans hope that this will be quick work and they can get back into the dugout or into the locker room or somewhere out of the elements. 2 outs away from finishing up this game.
That one's going to be fouled away once again. And those 2 outs can sometimes be the hardest ones to get. You've got all the pressure. You know the batters of the other team. I know the Mustangs are not going to want to go down quietly, and getting just a few minutes break to just take some breathers and talk some things over could be the shot in the arm they need to try to blow it wide open. Here's the 2-2. Taken inside for ball 3, so a great job there again by Bull to stay alive. We've seen Bull work a full count and get on base as well. So from the circle, there'll be some pressure on Galthouse to try to secure what would be the second out of the 7th inning.
I'll tell you, every pitch she's thrown, Kibos over at first base has been off to the races. Obviously really ready to run here and trying to get the Mustangs a runner in scoring position. Ideally, I'm sure they'd love to see something happen in the form of her ending up at third, but at least to get to second. I'm keeping a close eye on her down there at first.
The payoff pitch again fouled away, so this has been a absolutely lengthy at-bat. Late in the game, it's not as useful to drive up that pitch count, but that will start to annoy Galthouse. The mental game being played right here, and all I know Bull is trying to do is to make sure there's not 2 outs when the next batter comes aboard. Here's the 3-2 one more time. Strike 3, and we'll go down looking. And now that'll put 2 outs on the board, runner on. The Last Chance Saloon serving its final round potentially. It's Apacia Wolf.
Wolf, the left fielder, she's 0 for 2 in this game as she swings at a foul tip there. 0-1.
So with the 0-1 right here for Wolf, hoping to try to keep the game alive and to try to make sure she's not 0 of 3 of the day. Fouled away again, so now we'll be down 0-2. 4 hits conceded from the circle by Galthouse, hoping to keep it that way, alongside 3 strikeouts. Entering the at-bat, only 67 pitches. Here's the pitch. Strike 3. The ball gets away from Chevalier, but the throw to first will retire the side and retire the game. The Spartans win 5-1 to open up the doubleheader, and weather permitting, we'll be right back with game number 2.